closest was approximately 1,300 foot.
Okay. So
Those
I
are
had,
the
I
three
had
closest
the,
residences.
I had two roughly 600, 650 with Google Earth, as close as I could get. And then the 1,300 roughly, okay. So, I mean, I think you can open it up for town council discussion.
Okay. Do any one of the council members want to talk about any of the due diligence they conducted themselves? Dennis, I know yours was pretty extensive as well. Do you want to hit on any of what you did?
Based on all the concerns that I had at the Planning Commission meeting and a town council meeting that was here, concerns that even I had, obviously noise was hit, drains, lack of communications with people in our community, well, in Hamilton County, gas lines, marathon, citizens, fire, safety standards. I mean, I reached out, I went into rabbit holes all over the place, trying to figure out if it made sense to me, if it's something that I would want to live around. If I wanted something for my community, I've been here 35 years, this is my home. So we talked to various, we talked to an engineer who happened to run a BESS, various units of them. We've talked to the surveyor for Hamilton County regarding the drain. I talked to citizens, I talked to Marathon, I talked to Branton, Canada Fire Department regarding a fire that they had and how they dealt with that. So I've spent a lot of time with this, and that's my job.
Now, that Canada situation was the different.
It was a different technology. It was an NMC, nickel manganese cobalt, I think, technology. And I've studied LFP technology. The two events that did catch fire, I think the cause ended up being water intrusion, where the water actually got in and shorted out the safety electronics that then the mechanisms that prevented runaways, and then they ran away. So it's been a few good months of study for this, and I've but the due diligence and things that I've learned, I've shared with other council members individually, so that they could at least have the information. So I do believe this council has dug deep and wide. The fact that we've had studies given to us here today, I think shows that as well. But I'm comfortable with what I've seen and what we've been given in information, so as to how I need to make a decision. So
Anybody else want to talk?
Go ahead.
Okay. When this was first proposed and I was going to meet with a couple of gentlemen, I happened to have a meeting at the fire department. One of my number one concerns is public safety. And so I said to the fire department, thinking I knew the answer, hey, I've got a meeting. Does anyone think this is a good idea? Several of them put their hand up and said, this would be great for the town. This is much safer, including the fire chief, the prior fire chief and our current fire chief, Chief Frazier, and many of the firefighters. They said, do your research. So I went into the meeting with a more open mind, and I asked, will you have training? Will you pay for this training? Training once a year is not going to cut it, because all the fire departments around here need to know what's going on, as well as new employees. And they said every year we'll have training for all the corresponding fire departments, and there's no charge. And, you know, I went back to the fire department. We have done a lot of research. We've even had people go to these places, other locations, to see if they could hear noise, if there were problems. Our landscaping proposal is better, by the way, but we have spent a lot of time trying to make the best decision on this, because I've been here 40 years. I love Cicero. I want to see it to continue to grow, managed growth. I don't want to see the big apartment complexes. And what are we going to put out there? Mobile home parks, big apartment complexes, condos. This, to me, is a better fit. But I just wanted you to know that we took this very seriously, and all of us have done our own research on it, and we are voting with our hearts. So that's all.
I just wanted to comment on, I think the council has taken very seriously the last, I don't know how many weeks it's been, this due diligence pursuit and trying to make sure we have the best information in front of us tonight as we consider this agenda item. I think that time was incredibly well spent trying to gain the best possible information to inform these very important decisions. And I'm thankful that we took the time, and I'm grateful for the folks that we have engaged with to try to provide us their expertise and experience, and all of which I think had multiple decades of experience in their related fields. So that's very important to us to understand those perspectives about things that none of us are experts in. Two incredibly important things to me as we evaluated this have been fire and public safety. Again, those were conversations that happened immediately when this proposal was even brought forward. I think to all of us, we wanted to understand those matters, and thank Chief Frazier for continuing to help us understand those items. And then the groundwater situation was incredibly important, I think, to all of us. That aquifer is of paramount importance to this community and our neighbors as well. And so the information we gained from August Mack on that matter was very important for me this evening.
So I did have one other question that was posed to me in my conversation last night. And honestly, it's a pretty important, I mean, it's a good question. Is this the look we want for Cicero as we come into town? So I think, at least from my perspective, I talked about all the other infrastructure in that area. What IPA presented last time, I mean, it's going to look like a wooded area, I believe, that's going to be shielded very well. So as you come into town, I mean, I'm trying to understand what that impact is and what it truly looks like. I thought that was a very good question that was posed in that discussion. So I think, or my belief is the plans that have been provided will do shielding of this, and you will not even know that facility is there. And it's up to the board members to make sure that that is not seen if this were to pass.
And for me, just to kind of hit on it, everybody's pretty much already said what can be said in regards to the due diligence. I'm going to talk a little bit about the consideration that I personally put into this. You know, from the time I very first ran for council, I championed, and I haven't strayed from this, is low-impact, high-value projects that don't add rooftops. I know there's a strong desire in Cicero to not add rooftops, not add traffic, which is challenging. You know, we have we're mostly residential here, so we don't have that tax base. You're seeing it in Westfield, which So they're trying to catch up now and diversify their tax base, and we don't want to run into that situation. So, I looked at this, and it doesn't add students, it doesn't add traffic, it doesn't add employees, the light is minimal, the sound is minimal. I did visit a BES up in Fort Wayne. It's funny, they are actually out there. My profession is commercial fire suppression and protection, and I just happened to be talking to one of my customers one day about this proposal down here, and he goes, oh, there's one right up the street up here. So obviously I immediately went up there. I was actually surprised, A, in how close it was to housing. I mean, much closer than it would be here, and they were higher value homes. And we talked a little bit about the different fire suppression that they've gone through with the previous technologies, and this is a completely different situation. I couldn't detect any sound from the installation at all. There was a little road noise, so maybe that covered it up, but there wasn't much. So I felt comfortable from a sound standpoint. But more than anything, I think this project fits the area. It doesn't add the density, it doesn't add the traffic. It really is as low impact as it comes, barring some kind of unusual catastrophe. So that's really what the appeal of this type of project is for me. But everybody else pretty much hit on the due diligence items that we did. So.
I wanted to add one other thing that I did. I did go out, because you mentioned the noise again, and walked about 100 feet from 19 and measured the decibel reading. And every car that went by, I was getting around 80 decibels on each car that went by. A semi would go by and it would hit a peak over 90. So I went back to 90 to about the front of the house that is south, and it was about the same there. I went to the back of the house, and it drops 3 to 5 decibels. So there's, along 19, there's some significant noise from the road, just road highway noise. So I wanted to know that piece of it, so I went out and did the measurements to understand it better. So I think with the aesthetics that have been included in the project, it probably minimize that, any noise that's coming off of this site as well. So at least that's the desire and hope, the berm and trees, shrubbery. So.
That being said, does anybody have any questions for us?
When did you guys all, as a council, receive these professional findings that all of these people talked about tonight to review?
Friday night,
So you received them this past Friday?
this past Friday night, yeah.
Well, I mean, we haven't received them all, right? I don't remember.
So if you haven't received them all, I'm just.
No, I mean, tonight was the first time, I believe, maybe I'm wrong, Aaron.
Oh, we didn't have, no, we had summarization of the environmental study.
No, I'm sorry, I misspoke. We had them all.
Yeah.
I was thinking the summary of the PUD. We had the real PUD to read through, so that's what I was thinking of.
Gotcha.
So I was incorrect.
So you've read through every single finding that you guys have been given, the however many hundreds of pages this was? Because I know somebody posted it was like their findings was 79 pages or something, but you guys have, each of you can honestly say you have read through every single one of these things that all of these presenters.
I've read through every document I've been given.
Yes, yes.
Just asking,
Yeah.
because from Friday to
And
today.
I'm not a fast reader. It's, I have.
And I'll show you the countless emails I've sent asking for clarification. I called our attorney last night at 9:30. So that's probably an OT charge for us, but
Well, and I can tell you, I sent these out Friday because I was kind of the clearinghouse that they came in from the consultants. And within a couple hours, I was already getting questions. So council members were already reviewing the material and starting to reach out if they had follow-ups that they wanted to go to the particular consultant or whoever it was.
Quick question tonight. The bottom third of the property on the diagram we saw didn't really show anything on the below the high tension lines. I think the southernmost piece that was noted on there was the substation. Is that accurate? I was just curious what that bottom third roughly would look like. Is that going to be managed in any way?
So you're talking this section right here?
The southern, east to west, across
Underneath
the
the high
southern?
tension
Very
lines?
southern edge of it.
talking
Underneath the
east.
high tension lines,
Yeah.
correct?
Right.
So is it just grass area that would be maintained?
So the high tension lines are encumbered by that easement for those power lines there.
Yeah, so you're not allowed to put anything.
Okay.
Could you hear that?
So, I mean, what does that mean? Is it mowed grass? Is it just?
It's basically going to be what it is now, if I understand it correctly.
Yes, it will continue to be kept as is. And
Not
maintained
part of
as
that
such.
tillable agricultural field, right?
Is, what's there right now?
Is it tilled or?
Some of it is tilled, so we can certainly offer, if, I don't think that's viable for the amount of acreage there. I'd propose that it would just be maintained as grass.
Could you hear that?
Yeah, so I'm just making sure there's an intentional plan and it doesn't just turn into something crazy.
Yeah.
I guess.
So then would you maintain that? I mean, would IPA mow that? It's part of your property, correct?
It is our property, so we'd have to ensure that that easement is clear for those high tension lines.
Okay.
So just clarity, so the current plan does show plantings along that southern boundary, right, of your project. And then where those stop is kind of close to probably, I assume, right where that easement begins, where you can't, there can be no plantings or structures or anything, right?
That's right.
Any other questions? Oh,
Yeah, one.
I can't see. Oh, hey, Ford.
On the west side of the railroad tracks, you're talking about encumbering possible the property to the south. How far of a setback is it going to encumber the property on the other side of the railroad?
Aaron, that encumbrance is already in place, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the railroad itself?
No, the property on the west side of the railroad tracks, what's the setback to that property?
So if-
Somebody else would own it.
Well,
Yeah, so his, I got his question. So going west of the project, those homes are way back, right? What would be the requirement if something developed in that property just to the west on those railroad tracks? Is it 600 feet as well? And that's up to the developer? I don't remember what those setbacks are along that railroad track, do you?
I
Part of that
don't
would be
remember off the
easement.
top of my head.
Anyway, already, wouldn't it?
Mr. Strong, do you remember that property to the west, what those setbacks are? So on the west side of the,
If you went from the railroad west,
I think Ford, it would be up to the developer at that time if that property was to be sold or whatever it might be used for.
Well, you have a railroad easement through there right away also. There's going to be some buffering on that side as well as whatever's development, and there would be a requirement for an additional setback, so.
Could you hear that?
What's the name of the railroad?
It's owned by the Hoosier Heritage Port Authority.
Hoosier?
Heritage Port Authority.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you for spending so much time and effort and doing your due diligence. We appreciate it.
This was a new project for us all. I mean, this was a learning experience for
No, I know,
everyone.
but
You know, so
A
it-
lot of people wouldn't have taken the extra time, so I appreciate what you did.
and we're trying to share as much information as we have available to share.
Transparency is great,
So-
yeah.
I have one last question. How is HB, with this exact property that they're going for, can HB 1001, the one that just passed, could that affect this property if you don't develop it?
I mean,
With
they're
the
ready.
choice of this battery plant?
The way it went, I should probably let Aaron.
Because it isn't, it's zone, I mean, from what I'm understanding in reading HB 1001 or whatever, that the light industrial can still be done, but I'm not sure, I'm just asking.
Are you talking about the tax abate, or are you talking about the tax rate on the light industrial?
No, well.
Or are you talking about how you can
the
drop
zoning that
drop
they will
anything?
take away
and-
from your control, so could somebody go in and can somebody go in and take that property without you
That-
guys?
That was removed from the bill.
I don't think it was.
It was pretty much nerfed out. Now it's more of a
Non-usable-
BZA type issue with
non-usable
the zoning
land.
variance, so
Can
we
they
still
come
hold
in
a
and
lot of
drop something in?
the control there.
Have you put in for the addendum to say that you guys have the control over that?
No.
with the state?
That would be a Taft or Aaron question.
Yeah, the way the draft ordinance was set, are you talking about the annexation? I'm not following what she's
no.
Talking
asking.
about that housing bill, 1001.
1001.
So what she's
Oh.
saying is where if it's non-usable land, that you don't have to go through the process. I don't know all the details, but you can, one of these facilities or another facility like it, or a
Right,
data
because it's
center,
something that
whatever.
just come up in the last week, couple weeks, so I was just curious to know how that could affect if you choose.
It's my understanding, I thought that was removed from the bill at the end of session. At the end of session, they came in and changed a number of things during the conference committee process.
That was my understanding too, after I chewed on a senator pretty good.
But from what I understood, a lot wasn't, the only thing that was added in was the town had to put in for a special thing to say that they are opting out of whatever it is.
That was the original
Yeah,
language.
and that was removed. Okay, we're talking about, that was removed. They moved it to strongly, I think, recommending that there be a summer study committee to look at that, and they also imposed requirements that we track data about proposed new housing and things of that nature, and that was there, but they got rid of the portions of that that would have superseded or required us to opt out. And I think that's probably going to come back again next year, absolutely. I think a lot of times when they push it to a summer study committee and require us to collect data so they can then use that to do what they wanted to do in the first place, so we're going to have to be on the lookout. But that is not, that part did not get through.
But so you're not 110% sure that part didn't?
No, I know the part with requiring the opt-out did not get through.
So we get law updates. They will come and talk to us about all the law updates and make,
Right.
or guide us in what to do.
But so I guess what my question is if it, like not knowing exactly what 1001 is and everything else, so could somebody come in, like let's say 1001 allows that somebody could come in and use that land and you guys don't have say and they could produce a lot more money to the town of Cicero than what these people are doing. Shouldn't you guys as a council ensure that you know all those rules and regulations first?
Are you suggesting housing would create more revenue than this?
No, I don't. I know that there's a lot of changes that came through on 1001. I am not a professional on it. I just want to ensure that as a town, you guys are ensuring that you're.
I think you're talking about a different bill. Are you talking about 1210? There was
HB 1001.
That's about housing.
That's a
Yeah, that's
residential
about
housing
housing.
bill.
It includes in there subsidy about the industrial and as well, and there's some mumble jumble that I'm not aware, I don't understand, I haven't read completely in depth on it. So that's all I was just asking.
Yeah, it got completely killed.
No, I mean, we track legislation throughout the session. We work through the AIM, which is a group that represents municipalities, to reach out to our legislators, and we get alerts from them of critical information. I go to seminar. I have a seminar coming up to review all the latest legislation that came through. But my understanding is all the compulsory things that were in 1001 were stripped out of that. And everything was moved to conference committee / data collection. But we were warned it's probably coming back next year. And so we're going to have to be ready to try to stop it again or to deal with it if something gets through.
So are you asking if something better was to come along with more revenue? Is that?
I mean, so, I mean, I'm just trying to ensure, because it sounds as though you guys are choosing this because of the revenue and the lease part of the amount that it's gonna affect or whatever.
The low impact.
The low impact, yes, thank you, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to think, if you're looking at it and you're gonna put this quote unquote, in some ways, city up for sale, then wouldn't you wanna make sure that we're getting the base thing for a buck?
I mean, there's not much from a size standpoint on that parcel that's gonna produce much more revenue than this. I mean,
Well, she got her dig in. She
I
said
know
putting
where,
the city up for
it's
sale,
going,
so,
so, yeah.
yeah.
President Cox, if I could just note for the record, they did, the permitted housing section went to section 28. The Legislative Council is urged to assign to the appropriate interim study committee. I always lose my voice when I step to this microphone. The topic of making residential affordable housing a permitted use in an area zoned for residential or commercial use if, one, a religious institution is the developer of the property or a developer working on behalf of a religious institution, two, the development is located on property owned by the religious institution, and three, the development exclusively contains affordable housing. So that's the section about affordable housing. It will likely go to a summer study committee, which I don't know why we call them summers. They don't meet until late August, early September. I guess it's technically summer, but it doesn't feel like summer if your kids are in school. But yes, that's the section that's going to go to
Right.
study committee.
Well, and one other note, when they were talking about that, they were talking about a developer doing that. So let's use this. If IPA owns that land, it's not that a home builder could come in and somehow seize it from IPA.
Right.
If IPA owns that land and IPA wants to develop it that way, that does not trump IPA being able, as the property owner, to pursue that.
Do I have anything else? Well,
So, I mean, so the way this would work is it would be, I mean, the way these votes work is, are we ready for a vote, I guess?
it depends on does
that
everybody have
motion.
the information they need to make a decision?
The way these would work is no matter what, it would be a favorable and then you vote yay or nay. So I just wanted the audience to know that that's the way it works. That doesn't mean if you make a favorable, it doesn't mean that you're in favor or not. So that's the way the vote works.
What he's saying is the motion is always going to be made in the positive. And,
Thank you.
you know, we've seen some confusion come from it not being made that way before, but how we do it is always made in the positive and decided from
Well, the
there.
plan commission was right as well. They were right, but, so there's a couple things that in the motion, and Aaron, you tell me how we need to do this. So they talk about a berm. If there is a berm that's put in place, somebody provided some great information that it should be non-uniform. So not just a circle, but make it non-uniform to make it more realistic, I guess. I want to ensure that the number of trees that we cannot see this facility if it were to go in. So in the PUD, it talks about 10 foot apart, and then it talks about double stacked and maybe potentially triple stacked trees. I want to make sure whatever happens that from any residents and/or the railroad, because that was a concern, and State Road 19, that you cannot see this facility. It looks like a wooded area. Yes, sir?
Are there any engineered plans on this project?
They will,
Is it just an exhibit?
it's an exhibit.
Yeah, because there's a, well, the surveyor's office is going to see the exhibit. There's an easement through there that you're not going to allow any trees being planted.
Right.
So if you're going west on 321 First, there's going to be a huge opening.
Yeah, that's accounted for on the site plan. Are you talking about the diagonal,
Yeah.
the pipeline? Yeah.
Well, see, there's a 150-foot drainage easement through the Ingerman Drain, and that's going to be removed and made an open ditch.
That's accounted for in the site plan on the northeast corner of the property.
Right.
Yeah, the drain is on the very northeast part of the,
So do you live there? I mean, is that your, In
I
that-
live on the east side of 19.
okay,
I have the wetland nature reserve,
yeah.
okay.
which is another issue. There's also a super area. Yeah.
So
There's going to be a 150-foot through the easement, plus the gas line's got a 75-foot easement. There's not going to be any trees planted in that area.
Incorrect, and the site plan is correctly shown, the easement on there. It also shows the vegetative buffer.
Can we pull that up? Do we have a copy of that we can pull up?
Do you have a fan, can you connect or no? I can probably, I gotta plug in,
Does it have
because
to
I'm
be
running out of
done up
battery.
there?
You
Yeah.
want to just send it to me?
Is this what you want?
I mean, I guess I don't know that it has to be, well, maybe it does. I mean, I want to make sure this thing is
that it?
completely,
That's not the.
no, this is, I mean, this is,
It's this, is what you're looking
Yes.
for, right?
I don't have that.
I have a
because that's
copy of
got the
it.
green.
I got it from Aaron today, hold on.
Well, that's the,
You want me to
I don't
send
have
it to you, Aaron?
I don't have the newer version.
I don't think I have anything to share.
I think we're gonna have to get that.
I'll go up there. It's fine. You want to send it to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do. Did you send it, Jacob?
It says it went out.
Oh, I just got it.
In the easement, they show shrubs. Can they do shrubs in the easement?
Depends on the rules of a particular easement. Some easements allow shrubs and plantings, but they won't allow trees. And some of it says they've got a clear area in the actual easement, and then they've got shrubs and
So,
plantings.
then-
in these areas to provide
Give me
cover
bearings.
on even theory.
So bottom is south, State Road 19 is to the right, correct?
This is the wetland preserve here.
Right.
So this drainage easement, there won't be any trees planted in this easement.
It doesn't
Yeah,
show trees.
yeah, so these are where the buffers are, right here. Now, that's the road, I'm sorry, where are the buffers? I don't know that I see.
Permit. We're talking about the Marathon Pipeline. You can see that the dotted area here, this is a vegetative buffer that surrounds the entire facility. And I believe you're speaking about this increment drain here. You can see how there is an easement here. You can see there's no trees planted in that easement. They're planted on the outside and on the side as well.
Outside.
Yes, sir, that's right. And the same exact thing with the Marathon Pipeline easement as well.
So that,
Dan, I just got a text that said the live stream quit.
that there wouldn't be any.
Did we hit the time
You'd
limit?
have to start here, because this is gonna get reconstructed going this way. Phase two, because now.
There's another
this is-
video, or in the-
This is all done on this side, so phase two's gonna, this is gonna open up.
This is already complying with the surveyor's office here.
Just start another one.
So this, I mean, these are all plans that we have from them, and that's how we built the site plan around that.
Those aren't from the surveyor's office. Those aren't engineered plans.
So these are preliminary site plan. This is not a stamped plan, if that's your
That's what,
question.
yeah, that's what.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because the permit process will dictate where
Right.
the placement's at.
So, you comfortable with that or no? Something else we should ask about?
No, I just want to bring it up because you're talking about vision.
Yeah, no, I want to make sure it's shielded.
Because when someone's coming down this way, they're going to see opening.
Yeah,
I mean, they'll
yeah,
see it
you'll see the opening, but you're supposed to
Because it
have
made it sound like the trees were going to go here.
all the way around, okay, okay. So, thank you for the. So I think the takeaway is,
Got it, thank you.
how do we make that, Aaron, to make sure that,
Well, I'm trying to pull up the section that we already described. the
What
buffer.
section is it, 6, 7?
it doesn't,
Gauging insight.
it doesn't. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I just wanted to make sure we had his concern understood. Yes. Not trying to do it here, so, yeah.
Yeah, if you read that section, I think that section's pretty clear about year-round opacity of view, meaning you can't see it between the berms, the trees, and the other vegetation that they are required to put in there under the ordinance.
All right,
May I?
yeah. So, sorry, I just wanted to make sure.
I would wait until the, okay, hands are dry, we're good.
All right, so uniform, non-uniform berm, shielding, That decommissioning we answered. So I think my questions are answered and my concerns.
Anybody else have anything? Man, that's your gig.
Is it my gig?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dennis. So I will make a motion to approve
Ordinance number right here.
ordinance number 03-17-2026-01, with the understanding that we come to an agreement of the economic development agreement and
And that is built into the ordinance. That must be signed by the end of the year, and if one isn't, it reverts back to just the prior zoning.
and then anything with annexing.
That's also required.
Okay, all right. So per that ordinance, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. We're actually going to do a roll call vote. So we have a motion and a second. Jacob, start us off.
Just a couple comments about the rationale for my voting. Number one is Senate Enrolled Act 1 in 2025 significantly changed the property tax system in Indiana. Every community, local community, including ours, is going to be challenged from a revenue perspective over the coming 5 to 10 years. So our ability to add tax base, specifically commercial tax base, because we can collect more revenue from that tax base, is going to be incredibly important to the fiscal situation of every community in Indiana, and Cicero is not immune to that. The density of this investment is really incredible. I mean, we can talk about housing and those kind of things, but $200 million on a parcel that I believe is 28 acres is really an incredible level of investment, and the only reason we care about that level of investment and that density is because that density translates to tax dollars. So that is incredibly powerful for us to create such a high level of tax base on such a small portion of our community's land mass. And the last thing I was going to point out in my considerations to voting is the zoning, our zoning ordinance itself, which has been in place since 2015 at least. The title and description on page 19 of our zoning ordinance for C3, which this parcel is currently zoned, is business park, light manufacturing, utility. The district is generally intended for small business park, light manufacturing parks, and utility usage. I find it difficult to see how this project does not fit within the zoning that has been established many, many years ago. I vote yes.
And I've talked about the challenges in the area. I believe the project, I have personally listened to the concerns and have worked to address the concerns. And I think the gentleman that spoke today addressed concerns. They were independent assessments. Public safety, or the safety of the public, is a number one key. And I believe it's all of our responsibilities up here for that aspect, and also to work to keep taxes as manageable as possible in this time with increased costs. So I will vote yes.
Emily?
I really wrestled with this because so many constituents have told me they're against it, but I've also had constituents tell me after they did the research and after they talked to me that they were for it. And I think we need this to move Cicero forward, so I vote yes.
Dennis?
with the understanding of the financial changes in our legislature, decisions they made on taxes and how it's affected municipalities. I've gone down every rabbit hole I can possibly think of to make myself be comfortable with this and understand it better. I want to live here and I want to have a good community, and I think the dollars that this thing provides is a very positive impact for us. When we talk about ISO and fire department needs and other community needs as well. So I'm in favor of this. I vote yes.
And echoing what everybody else has said up here, without having to say it, my thought process falls right into that. But part of my consideration in this project was also the previous proposal over on Overdorf. And I relate it to a sense of risk mitigation. And what I mean by that is that we know this is going to be, this is slated in the MISO lineup to be located essentially between the Noblesville Power Station and it's Hortonville, correct? The Hortonville Power Station. So as it would have been over there, it would have been outside of our jurisdiction. We wouldn't have regulation opportunity as we have here, and we would see none of the financial benefits. So we would only really see the perceived negatives of the project. So I did consider that heavily, the fact that it could resurface elsewhere. And without us being able to have our hand in it. But as everybody else said, from an impact standpoint, it's minimal. I was very, very focused on the safety aspect of it. And obviously the financial aspect of it's a big one. As our costs continue to go up, we're trying to do everything we can to mitigate that and remain and keep our costs, all of our costs, at a level base. So echoing what everybody said, plus what I said, I'm also in favor of this project. Does anybody else have anything else?
No.
All right.
So it passed.
So it has passed. Any comments?
Can I just want to make an editorial comment, because as you know, I was the one who oversaw the due diligence process, and I work with our various contractors, and I want to acknowledge, as we've already said, the town selected its own contractors. We did not seek or receive input from IPA as to who we hired. We hired who we wanted to. And when we worked with IPA, anytime we asked for a record or a document, they provided it right away. Anytime we sent them a request for information or a question, they responded quickly. I don't recall a single incident where they said no to any request that we made. I don't recall a single time they refused to answer a question. Likewise, when Mr. Gardner was working on the ordinance with them, they agreed to the various revisions we made. Sometimes they would ask for a minor adjustment, but by and large, they accepted the changes as we were proposing them. And so I just want to acknowledge that, because I felt they were doing their best to answer our questions and to cooperate. And I felt that anything we asked for, we did receive.
I'm going to say one more thing. We know the position we're in. We're going to get criticized left and right, which is fine. I mean, it comes with the job. But I do want to say that, at least in my time here, I've never seen the amount of due diligence put into any single project that this one had. And I do want to compliment and let each and every one of you know that I'm very proud of the work you put in. I'm aware of it. We all had a lot to consider. I probably have more gray hair because of it. I've had to step away from my primary employment quite a bit to work through this. So thank you all. And I also want to thank all of you in the audience for the respectful nature tonight, for your understanding, for your questions and participation. I think that was an important part of this, so it's very much appreciated.
Mr. President, you asked if anybody had comments on this. I wanted to make one comment.
Sure.
I've been asking you both here in person and in emails about the why, and it's been a lot of whack-a-mole on the why not, which there were some important things to knock down, and you did that first. We finally got the why tonight, and in particular, Mr. Hayden, you kicked it off. And I agree with a lot of your rationale, not everything, I disagree with a few things, and that's okay. But I appreciated getting that, which is something that we've been missing before.
the purpose and the justification that you've gone above and beyond to make sure that we're understanding and hearing. So that's what I was asking for before. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.
So we do have to finish our meeting though.
Oh, yeah, there's more meeting. Oh. I guess we're comments by citizens.
New business. Any new business? Nothing. Miscellaneous? Nothing.
Comments by
You
citizens.
have a note.
Kim, this is you. Are you,
You know, the only thing I would say to you guys is honestly, this is one of the first times that I've really dealt with Cicero's board. And as much as, yes, we have our disagreements and things like that, I'm very active in Hamilton County, and I would like to commend you guys because you guys do listen, you do give feedback, and a lot of other boards, you aren't allowed to have that. So I am very impressed on that end of it. So I do appreciate what you guys have done in allowing the community to speak and then answering the question right there. Sure. Because that doesn't happen in a lot of town boards. So do know that that is highly, I think that's really outstanding.
thank you. And I know the decisions we make aren't always going to be agreed with, but each and every one of us have made a commitment to this style in these meetings, and we've tried to prove it time and time again with the engagement, and we'll continue to do this. So I do appreciate the acknowledgement on that. So, and also, I know there's a lot of Facebook chatter about everything. Any of you are always welcome to reach out to any of us and have a direct conversation. I met with numerous people through this, sometimes at their request, sometimes at my request. And it generally turned into a 2-hour conversation that went a bunch of different directions, but it actually broached some other topics about the town, and it helped us get to know the community better. So, we encourage that engagement with this, so thank you. Anybody else? Oh, sorry.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?